Have you ever noticed how some people in their 70s or even 80s still remember names, tell stories with clarity, and think quickly, while others much younger already struggle with forgetfulness? Here's the strange part: it's not always genetics, it's not always education, and it's definitely not luck. There is something far more ordinary hiding in plain sight, something so simple that most people overlook it completely. And yet, research keeps circling back to it as one of the strongest protective behaviors against cognitive decline. Let's talk about it. But first, I want you to picture something: an elderly man in a quiet neighborhood. Every morning, just after sunrise, he puts on his worn out sneakers and steps outside. No gym, no fancy equipment, just him, the road, and a steady pace. At first glance, it looks too simple to matter. But inside his brain, something powerful is happening. Because the daily habit we are talking about is this: brisk walking. Not occasional walking, not once a week exercise, daily brisk walking. Now, before you dismiss this as too basic, stay with me, because what it does to the brain is anything but basic. Cognitive decline doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, quiet, almost invisible at first. It begins with small things: forgetting where you placed your keys, struggling to recall names, losing focus halfway through conversations. Over time, those small gaps widen. And what most people don't realize is that one major driver behind this process is reduced blood flow and reduced stimulation in the brain. The brain is not a static organ. It is alive, dynamic, constantly changing, and it depends heavily on oxygen, nutrients, and neural stimulation to stay sharp. Now, here's where walking becomes surprisingly powerful. When you engage in brisk walking every day, your heart rate increases in a healthy way, blood flow improves, and more oxygen is delivered to the brain. But that's just the beginning, because something deeper happens at the cellular level. Regular aerobic movement, like walking, stimulates the release of a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of it as fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps neurons grow, connect, and survive. In simple terms, it helps your brain stay flexible instead of rigid. And flexibility is exactly what declines with age when the brain is not stimulated enough. But let's make this more real. Imagine two people living similar lives. One spends most of the day sitting, minimal movement, short walks only when necessary. The mind is constantly active, but the body is still. The other person walks daily. Nothing extreme, just 30 minutes at a steady pace, where breathing is slightly elevated but still comfortable. Fast forward 10 years. The difference in their cognitive health can be significant. Not because walking is magic, but because consistency changes the internal environment of the brain. Now, here's something even more interesting. Walking doesn't just support memory, it also reduces stress hormones like cortisol. And chronic stress is one of the silent accelerators of brain aging. When the brain is constantly under stress, it becomes less efficient at forming new memories. It also struggles with attention and emotional regulation. But during rhythmic movement like walking, especially outdoors, the nervous system shifts into a calmer state. This is why many people report that their clearest ideas come during a walk. It's not coincidence, it's neurobiology. The brain enters what researchers call a diffuse thinking state. Instead of focusing narrowly, it begins connecting ideas more freely. Now, let me bring this closer to everyday life. Think about the last time you felt mentally stuck, maybe overwhelmed, maybe unable to think clearly. Now imagine stepping outside. No phone, no pressure, just walking for 20 to 30 minutes. At first, nothing seems to change. But gradually, something softens in the mind. Thoughts reorganize, mental noise reduces, and clarity returns. That is not imagination. That is your brain responding to movement. There is also another layer that most people miss. Walking improves sleep quality, and sleep is where the brain performs its most important maintenance. During deep sleep, the brain clears out metabolic waste, consolidates memory, and resets neural pathways. So when daily walking improves sleep, it indirectly strengthens memory and learning capacity. Now, here is the real question. If something this simple has such powerful effects, why don't more people do it consistently? The answer is not lack of knowledge, it's lack of identity. Most people know they should move more, but they don't see themselves as the kind of person who walks daily. And that shift matters more than motivation. Because cognitive health is not built in intense bursts. It is built in small, repeated actions that seem almost too simple to matter. But the brain remembers consistency. It responds to rhythm. It adapts to what you repeat. So if there is one message to take from all of this, it is this. Protecting your mind in the long run is not about extreme effort. It is about daily signals you send to your brain that say, stay active, stay engaged, stay alive. A simple walk each day becomes more than exercise. It becomes communication with your future self. And years from now, when memory is still sharp, when thinking still feels clear, when conversations still come easily, you may not think about those walks, but your brain will remember them.